Chumbawamba.
I
President
love it.
Chumbawamba. It's fun to
That's
say.
it is super fun to say. I will. Oh, he's furry. Sounds furry.
It does. The Wumba sound doesn't just make them to me furry. It also makes them wide, like kind of a wide leg.
Hmm.
They have a good platform. They're not
Yeah.
threatening. They're pear shaped.
Well, it sounds like womb. There's a lovingness to it. There's a duality, if you will, to it, masculine and feminine of the chumba and the wumba, and
Yeah.
within that is where you find unity. Is where you find true peace.
I've always
So,
said that I thought within each of us there's Chubba and there's Wumba.
mhm.
And actually, a society that fails to reflect both the Chubba and the Wumba is a broken society. He is the host of the cannabis cooking show Chopped 420, now streaming on Discovery Plus, the co-host of True TV's Top Secret Videos, and in the new movie Golden Arm, which was released yesterday. Please welcome Ron Funches. Ron, it's good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Let's get into it. What a week. The CDC announced at a White House press conference on Tuesday that Americans who are fully vaccinated no longer need to wear masks outdoors, with the exception of large and crowded gatherings. Ron, I'm unlocking my iPhone with my face just thinking about
it. That's a good one. That is a good one. I like that joke. You said how I react. I like that one. My wife doesn't agree with the CDC right now. She still says, yes to mask outside, no to free face outside.
No free face? No free face outside?
Not when I'm walking with her, no. We're like a classic Oscar and Felix. We're very good opposites attract. She's very careful. I'm very carefree. She's very clean. I'm very messy. She's Canadian. I'm American. Classic.
You ever? I'm moving forward. And then early. I was circling something around spaghetti. In my mind, I see Felix and Oscar. I see spaghetti. There's messy spaghetti involved. Mm-hmm. There's also, I was thinking about a duct tape down the middle, and it's masks on one side and no masks on the other. These are just some options if you're trying to build out the sitcom dynamic inside of your relationship.
Duct tape. Who does not want a duct tape style relationship where you're like, this side of the house is mine, this side of the house is yours? Everybody. That's what you hope for in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. And then early Wednesday, federal investigators executed a search warrant at the home and office of former New York City mayor and current guy who definitely doesn't drink enough water, Rudy Giuliani, as part of an investigation into his illicit dealings on behalf of Donald Trump. Both his lawyer's statement and his son's press conference tried to point the finger at Hunter Biden, forgetting that while that does work on television, you can't go into court and say, "What about this other thing?" They don't ever go for that. You can't say somebody else did something bad in court. You have to actually deny the thing that's happening to you.
Yeah, which is unfair in a way. Like, you should be able to be like pass the buck to whoever is the worst criminal of the day. You you be like, look, yes, I did something bad, but I was talking to this guy. This guy is mansplaining to everyone in this line. So clearly, Your Honor, not guilty.
Your Honor. Not guilty. If I could, just to come back to where I started, just to keep one thought in your mind, not guilty.
Yes. He's like, tax evasion, sure. Did I do it? Yes. But Your Honor, murder.
It's so much worse.
Yes. Consider that.
Consider it. Your Honor.
That's a solid defense to me.
So far, investigators are mum on what they've discovered, except for revealing a vision board from the apartment of Rudy Giuliani, but it was just pictures of Michael Chiklis in happy relationships. Okay. That's all that was on there.
I get that.
What's weird about it is they're not even from. It looks like he hired Michael Chiklis. It's like Michael Chiklis pushing a woman on a swing, Michael Chiklis at a fancy restaurant.
Yeah, what's weird about this? I don't get it. I do vision boards all the time. I believe in it. You got to envision it to achieve it. That is simple. Believe it to achieve it. If it rhymes, it's for real. And if you got, to me, that's two goals in one. He's saying what he wants: happy family life, riches and fun times at restaurants. And then he's using Michael Chiklis as his health goals. So he's like, this is what I want to see myself as. I'm not going to go and just put someone unobtainable for me. The best I could be is Michael Chiklis.
It's achievable. You're
right.
Yes,
exactly.
He's not going to put some full-headed Lothario on there. He's going to put a handsome, stocky, but athletic, charming, bald man on there.
Exactly.
Yeah, there is nothing weird about that. You're right. I'm sorry. The fun continued Wednesday night when President Biden delivered his first joint address to Congress to mark 100 days of his administration. He began by saying this:
Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, no president has ever said those words from this podium. No president has ever said those words, and it's about time.
It was pretty moving, though Biden distracted from the moment when he added, also, no one has ever said this before. I didn't get Joker. He's a crazy clown in the opening scene. There's nowhere to go, but a great performance. Great performance. God love him. God love him.
I just think it's weird to just phrase it that way. That's just like the classic. You can't let somebody else shine when you're like, Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President. Wow, how cool is it of me that I get to say that? Man, I'm killing it.
He's like, hey, the first two women are up here. The three of us are part of something pretty great. Only 200 people were allowed in the House chamber due to coronavirus restrictions, which definitely changed the feel. It's like a party that's not as big as you thought it was going to be. And so it's a little bit too intimate. And then you get this terrible feeling that John Ossoff is going to pull out an acoustic guitar at like any moment. Like that's the risk. That's the risk when you only allow 200 people in. John Ossoff's like, should I play a song? And not enough people say no. A couple people kind of are nice, and then it happens.
Yeah, that's one of my least favorite things in the world. Doesn't matter who you are. I told Conan O'Brien to his face, I don't like it when he does that because it's off-putting. What am I supposed to do? You're putting me in a situation where you're basically assaulting me with music, and I have nowhere to go. I have to look like I'm somewhat enjoying it. To be just serenaded out the blue, I think there you go. If I showed up at that court, I would be like, look, Your Honor, did I commit tax evasion? Did I lie under oath? Yes. Have I possibly murdered one or two people on occasion? But have I ever serenaded people without them wanting it? No, not guilty.
Have I ever sat down at a grand piano unbidden and forced everybody to stop their conversations mid-conversation? No, not guilty.
Yeah, exactly. That's the last thing you want. So I used to, as a stand-up, I used to do that to people. They go to eat, they go to a restaurant, truck stop restaurant, coffee shop, thinking that they were going to chat with their friends. And me and my friends would come in and say, no, it's your time to shut up and time for you to listen to us tell jokes. And then we would wonder why it didn't go well. But at some point you gotta go, oh, right. They didn't know what they were getting into.
They should. That's partly on them. Honestly, that's on the establishment for not setting the clear expectations.
True. That's just true.
President Biden also delivered a message about jobs, the economy, and the end of the pandemic.
We all know life can knock us down. But in America, we never, ever, ever stay down. Americans always get up.
A beautiful quote, of course, by President Franklin Delano Chumbawamba. That's all that was worth. That was all that was worth. Chumbawamba.
I love it.
Chumbawamba. It's fun to say.
It is super fun to say. I will. Oh, he's furry. Sounds furry.
It does. It does. Well, it evokes Chewbacca in some sense. Or
Yeah,
little,
that's true.
little creature. Oompa
I saw
Loompa
a
is in there.
Furby, a giant Furby is what I saw in my head.
Yes.
And it made me feel safe and actually protected. So I'm going to vote for him.
The Wumba, the Wumba sound doesn't just make them, to me, furry. It also makes them wide, like kind of a wide leg. You know, they have a good platform. They're not threatening. They're pear-shaped, you know?
Well, it sounds like womb. There's a lovingness to it. There's a duality, if you will, to it, masculine and feminine, of the Chumba and the Wumba. And within that is where you find unity, is where you find true peace.
I've always said that I thought within each of us, there's Chubba and there's Wumba. And actually a society that fails to reflect both the Chubba and the Wumba is a broken society, is a society in a lot of pain. Ted Cruz appeared to doze off during the speech, but he was obviously faking it for attention, because you do not live for 50 years as Ted Cruz without learning not to fall asleep in public. Think about how many dicks his roommates drew on his face at Princeton. There is no way that this man is going to fall asleep in front of other people. I think even now, on C-SPAN, on television, Ted Cruz falls asleep in a committee hearing. I think you can definitely get a couple Democrats and a couple Republicans to mess with him. I think that there are 60 votes to take Ted Cruz's hand, put it in some warm water, you know, just see what happens. I think you get Joe Manchin, put a little shaving cream on Ted's nose, Pat Toomey, put a little feather on his hand. You know, you could do it.
I just feel like it's such a weird, like, childlike way to rebel against something. It's like, you know, I guess that's classic, but that's like my son just turned 18. He wouldn't even do that. That's like a classic, like where you later on he's just like elbowing his friends. He's like, you see me? I look where I was sleeping. I wasn't sleeping, but I made, you know, I looked like I was sleeping. Let him know he was boring. That's all. No. Oh, I miss that guy that yelled at me and talked about my wife.
Yeah, that guy was interesting. Kept me awake. He was a monster, but you never were bored. Biden also made arguments against the economic policies of the previous 4 years when he said this.
Trickle down. Trickle down economics has never worked. And it's time to grow the economy from the bottom and the middle out.
My fellow Americans, it's time to take the economy to White Castle. It's time to really fatten this economy up. It's time to give this economy the energy bars they used in Mean Girls to make sure they couldn't fit into their prom dresses of economic inequality.
It's time to get this economy, get that quarantine 15. Yeah. Everybody, the whole pandemic, we all been growing from the bottom and the middle out. And you know what? Yeah, that's true. Let's go. Let's give it the Sir Mix-a-Lot economy. You know, I want my economy to have back.
Baby got back.
And I cannot lie about that.
The Sir Mix-a-Lot economy. We're sick of this economy with a, I guess, very skinny up until it's giant. We're sick of the Pez dispenser economy. It's time for the Sir Mix-a-Lot economy that has butt for days.
Yeah, it's got curves everywhere. There's a little something for everybody.
Anyway, after a muted version of the joint address this year, as long as Americans keep getting vaccinated, the CDC promises we're on track for next year's State of the Union to return to the kind of large-scale fuck fest we're used to.
No party. I mean, everybody's missing that party. I was sad I didn't get my invite this year. I always show up.
Yeah, you wait there really early. Get in there. For the State of the Union fuck fest.
State of the Union, WrestleMania, Super Bowl, Met Gala, everybody, you know, those are my events.
Oh man, I got my dates confused and I got my WrestleMania outfit on for the Met Gala.
It would work.
It would work.
Make top 10 for sure.
Also this week, in an episode of his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, Joe Rogan advised young people not to get vaccinated if they're otherwise healthy. He said, if you're eating well, you don't need to be vaccinated, which is like saying if you're keto, you can't get eaten by a fucking shark. I don't wear a seatbelt. I do Pilates. What are you talking about? These are not related things.
Yeah. Well, I always feel like you don't listen to comedians. Comedians are stupid and they just talk and they say things and then they're supposed to either laugh or reject or adjust. That's the thing. I don't go, I think Joe's great as far as like building his empire and doing all the stuff that he's been doing, but I never understood when people are just like, this guy's, if anyone votes or does something off of my opinion or his opinion, I feel like you gotta make better choices to really this, truly don't
like he's not a doctor. He hosted Fear Factor.
Yes.
If you like the show, if you like the parts about ultimate fighting, great.
Yes.
Great. He's not an epidemiologist.
That's what he's really good at. He really good. I don't like MMA at all, but I watched the other one last week and I was like, man, he is really good at getting me interested in this. And that he's really good at telling some jokes on stage. But as far as knowing what you should do with vaccines and things like that, I think you should look elsewhere. Just like you shouldn't come to me for nothing like that. You come to me about knowledge about video games and a love of Sir Mix-a-Lot and how I could relate that to the economy. But as far as anything else, don't listen to me.
Speaking of people who you shouldn't listen to because they were good at one thing and are not talking about other things, who is your favorite SNL host who denied the pandemic and the vaccines? Mine is Elon Musk.
Oh, did he do both those things? I never keep track of that guy. I was just like, he just seems like a guy that a lot of like sad men like, like that. He's the Michael Chiklis to a lot of sad men, you know?
That's right. That's right. He does perform that role. He is on the Michael Chiklis vision board for a lot of dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you're giving me a lot to think about.
Thank you.
Former Olympian turned reality television star Caitlyn Jenner has announced her run for California governor in the recall against Gavin Newsom. I have a feeling her campaign will do for our great state what her SUV did to the Pacific Coast Highway. Because, Ron, do you remember that story?
Yeah, I met her one time. The Match Game episode with her, and she was from her Match Game expertise and ability to problem solve. In that, I'm not gonna vote for her. But
so you don't think on Match Game she did enough to demonstrate her qualifications for being governor of the largest state in the country and one of the biggest economies on the earth?
No, I mean, I may have missed some things that she has done that, on different episodes of the Kardashians or whatnot. But as far as I could tell from that Match Game interaction, no, I wouldn't let her like manage a target. She didn't seem like she had much things together, to tell you the truth. But, neither do I. But I'm not running for anything.
You could. It's anybody can. You want your name on that list?
It seems like it.
Anybody can. The recall election may cost the state as much as $400 million. Was French Laundry worth it? Until you've eaten there, you don't understand. It was. It's that good. It's that special, what they do there. It's an amazing meal. It was worth it. That's what I think. I think Gavin was right to go. It was worth it.
Yeah. Full catering. Yes.
Also on Sunday, Chloe Zhao won the Oscar for Best Director, the first woman of color to accept the award. News of the Nomadland win was censored across Chinese media, a disturbing outcome that means the average Chinese citizen will know as little about Nomadland as my father, who I believe is also just at a full zero on the existence of Nomadland.
I'm at it too, where I know now that it's not a video game. I thought it was a video game. It sounds like a video game.
Yeah.
It should be a video game from the name of it to me, but it's not. And one day I will find out what it is, but I know it's not a video game.
Well, that's a good place to start. And finally, a Japanese zoo just discovered one of the two toucans they were trying to get to procreate for years was actually a female and not a male like they originally thought. You know what they say, Ron? Sometimes two can, and sometimes two can't.
I'm really sorry.
That's the one you. That's the one. I mean, I guess if you go in with that, I've always heard if it's going to be bad, at least have it be quick. You know, nothing. You could be good and long. You could be good and quick is preferred. But if you're going to be bad, be quick. And that's all I could say about that one.
One thing that I've learned about comedy is you put your absolute dog shit worst joke at the end. Because you leave people disgusted.
Yeah.
You always want people to feel bad at the end.
Yeah. Build them up and let them down. You want to, like life. Yeah. Absolutely. I get it. Yeah.
Ron, thank you for being here. Before we let you go, I did want to, because I know that you're a gamer, and I know you've just been streaming Portal and Portal 2, and you were just talking about Mortal Kombat, which is apparently the Mortal Kombat movie has made more money in one weekend than all the Best Picture nominees combined.
That makes sense.
And I wanted to ask
no
you,
fatalities in Nomadland.
No. No fatalities. In the Mortal Kombat film, I haven't seen it yet. Is there a pit? Do they have the pit?
Was there a pit? No pit that I recall. No pit.
Because I always struggled with the fatalities, but the uppercut into the pit was your kind of easy way into a cool finish. What would you say is the best video game film ever made?
Oh, now does that mean there's got to be an adaptation of a video game, or is it just a movie about video games?
I would prefer an adaptation. I accept instead a movie about video games, as long as it's not Ready Player One.
Okay, absolutely. Well, I will say my favorites would be, I really think this Mortal Kombat one is great. It's cheesy, it's fun. It really captures the spirit of the game. So I think this one is one of my top favorites. I actually think the Street Fighter one's not great, but it holds a special place in my heart. It's just because I just love that game so much, and it also was very cheesy. But I think some of my favorite actual video game based movies probably Grandma's Boy, because I think I like the culture of that one. I think it's really funny, and I think it was the first time where I saw, like, a lot of times when you watch movies or shows and people play games, they're always like, they're like, you're like, you never, yeah. And this was the time where they're like, oh, they're playing games. And I was like, they play games over at Grandma's Boy. They know what they're doing over there. So I'm picking, I know that's a weird one to pick, but also because I love comedy and I like Nick Swartzen a lot. So I'm picking Grandma's Boy.
Now, let me ask you this. Where in the divide over the Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, Dennis Hopper, Samantha Mathis, Super Mario Brothers movie do you fall? Do you think it is a total disaster, or have you come, like some of us, to appreciate that it is a wonderful, wonderful mess?
Now, there's one thing I will never hate, and that's John Leguizamo. I love John Leguizamo. He is the best. He is so many wonderful things. And so I like some of the performances, and also I am old enough to know the times of being like, back then they just didn't really make anything for you, so you couldn't have a real adaptation. And then also, what would a real adaptation been? We had the Super Mario Super Show, and that was just a wrestler named Captain Lou Albano.
I remember that show. I love that show. That was
awesome. A great show, but it also doesn't make much sense at all. So I think it's not a good movie. I will never be like, it's good, but is it horrible? I don't think so. I'm happy it exists.
I'm happy it exists too. I think they took the story, which is what it is, and they made something incredibly strange, and I will always appreciate that. Ron Funches, thank you so much for being here.